let's talk about your trip to South Africa. What brought that on, and what was that like?
Oh my gosh, I love South Africa. So in 2009, yes, I was invited to participate on a trip to South Africa, and I have always wanted to work in inner cities. So inner cities in America. I love America. I was just like, this is my home. I don't want to go to South Africa. No, thank you. And then after praying and praying, I felt like the Lord was saying, no, this is something that I have for you. I want you to go. So January 2010, I go on a trip, and I was like, wow, like this is completely different than anything I thought. Great trip. On that trip in prayer, I felt like the Lord was telling me like that I was going to come back the same year and that I would move there. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. So when I flew out like on a Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that. And the day before I had been laid off, and I was overseeing a nonprofit. And so I literally locked the door, turned in the keys, and then the next day flew to South Africa. So my life is completely changed. And I'm like, there's no way I'm coming back. I don't have no money to go back to South Africa. You know how much money this is? I can't. So let's see, that's January. I get home February, and gosh, around August, I received a call from a doctor who was on the trip. She's a psychologist. And she asked me if I would be willing to go back with her in October to help teach people who work in foster care and in group homes how to train children in social skills, or how to train these people to work with the children so that the children develop social skills. Because what they were finding was that children were being returned to the agency because they lacked these skills. So they weren't washing their hands. They were, like swearing and screaming and, just had attitude or things like that. And so I was like, I'm not sure. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to have the money for it. And she was like, well, we'll fundraise. And in 2-3 weeks, we had $3,000, and here I am now in October, and I'm back in South Africa. And I was like, well, if the same voice told me that I was gonna come back the same year, then I believe that it's the same voice that told me I'm gonna move here. But it didn't happen immediately. It wasn't until 2014. I didn't go to South Africa in 2011. I went in 2012 and in 2013. And in 2013, when I was on the plane, it was just so confirmed in my heart, like, you need to move here. Like when you praying on the plane before it takes off, like, Lord, don't let us crash. That I was doing that prayer. And he was like, don't worry about the crash. You need to move here. And I was like, well, I'm praying about the crash. Can you just hold us up? Because that's a long flight. That's a lot of water. And so I get home from that trip, and I talked to the organization that I had been going with. And they were just like, yes, like we completely believe in this vision. I wanted to go and teach dance for a year and do work with like dance therapy. And 9 months later, I was on the ground full time in South Africa.
Wow.
Right outside of Cape Town in Stellenbosch. There's a township in Stellenbosch, and it's called Kayamandi. And I was doing work in Kayamandi, teaching dance to kids, and then doing like life skills with women. And then pretty soon after I moved there, the Lord had me go into a colored community in Cape Town called the Cape Flats. And I eventually transitioned out of Kayamandi into the Cape Flats, an area called Lotus River. And I worked there for 4 years. And not just doing like dance therapy. Actually, dance was very little of it. It was more like traditional one-on-one, with a youth or a teacher, and had students come over from Azusa Pacific University where they would intern. I would have students from, schools there on the ground, all volunteer led, and really just worked with children who had been impacted by trauma.